Shining the spotlight on the communities we love. It's time for the KMCH Hometown Tour.
We are having a wonderful time this week discovering or rediscovering the community of Lake Delhi. Now, our segment is about the history, and I have two folks that have, grew up in the area. Deb Knake is a resident at Lake Delhi now. Her brother, Ralph Cooey, is in Colorado. Evidently, he, decided he needed to move off to the mountain range. But I am grateful that I've been able to get both of you to talk a little bit about your life and your family's life in Lake Delhi. Now, this begins really before Lake Delhi was Lake Delhi, but rather your great-grandfather and Hartwick. Set the stage, if you will. I'll throw it out to either of you.
The history of Hartwick actually goes back to 1849 when John Clark actually established the town long ago. Yeah, they had a paint shop. They even had a shoe. Let's see, I was just reading it here. A shoe shop, wagon factory with dry house, flour and feed mill, paint shop, blacksmith shop, creamery. The church and school came a little later. They had a woolen mill. Almost had a woolen mill. Yet it washed away in a flood before it really opened. And then, of course, the sawmill was one of the first things that they did. The sawmill first just to provide wood for all the buildings that got erected over the next 10 years.
Where did the idea that we want to make a lake come about?
Well, the Interstate Power Company back in, I believe, 1925 started purchasing land along the Maquoketa River to build a power dam to generate electricity, and they completed the dam, Deb, you can confirm this, back in 1927. And with the dam completed, the existing lake was formed.
Knowing that it was a thriving small community, they had to, now I know by the sounds of it, if the power company was kind of forcing the hand by building the dam, but there still had to be conversation in the community that said, our town is going to go away.
I think that by just reading the history, by the Manchester Press article, they said the town only existed for 20 years. John Clark basically lost everything in 1857. He basically was the main driver of the town. Sort of after 1857, it started dwindling, and then when Delhi got the railroad in 1872, that was sort of, the remaining folks went away. Our grandfather, or our great-great-grandfather, Russell Furman, came and purchased the mill, and just a lot of the land, continued on. And then our great-grandfather, George Furman, his son, turned it into a farm. Even in the 1870s and 1880s, 90s, and actually, I think for a long time, it was a popular destination for the local people to come and picnic. And there's pictures of, they built little wood auditorium over, which would be just west of the bridge, and they had, band concerts and picnics and all that even long after, the town was gone.
Eventually, you both had to be there in amongst the other residents of the newly minted Lake Delhi. What was it like growing up in that area?
Well, it was certainly wonderful because we, had a lot of boating and fishing. Our grandmother, Pansy Furman, she ran a little store over where the old mill had been, the Hartwick Mill, and she had the best pies, chocolate malts, and just a candy store filled with every imaginable candy. So it was wonderful growing up.
Now, this would have been before the state really got active in the state park systems. This would have been, did you see a lot of people from other parts of the area coming in, using the lake for recreation purposes?
Just looking at the history in that, we found records from our grandfather, Tyler, who started Hartwick Lake Club back in 1931, and he drew a lot of people from Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, Waterloo, but he had a lot of out-of-state visitors too. There was one letter we found from a lady, I believe from Chicago, for example, that was reserving one of the cabins that they rented out, and just requesting, and this was like 4 months ahead of time, so that she would have the cabin for her and her family for that particular summer.
But I imagine you both were probably hopping at either Grandma's pie place or Grandpa's boat place. So you guys were probably busy most of the summer.
Well, busier in the way. I know grandmother profits were hurt by Deb, and my brother William and I had free access to ice cream, candy, and fishing tackle all our lives. Life was good.
What's your favorite memory, Deb, of the childhood on Lake Delhi?
Oh, I would believe all the swimming and fishing with my grandfather and just boating and water skiing.
And you, Ralph?
I think my favorite memories are probably just growing up in the area with all our timber and the land. My brother and I were out exploring, camping out in the land, just in the area there growing up. Tree houses built up in the woods. It was just very nice growing up in rural Iowa.
Well, it's certainly still providing those same memories for a new generation of young folks, and we hope that it continues on for years to come. Deb, Ralph, thank you so much for strolling down memory lane with Lake Delhi.
Thank you.
And thank you, Eric.